Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole. I am one of the pastors here at The Crossing. Welcome to your Monday morning devotional. This is our final week of focusing on the Psalms for our morning devotionals. And I'm excited about this one because this last weekend when Tim Selleck was speaking about Psalm 95, it got me. It was a gut punch. I felt inspired and convicted. And so I want to talk about Psalm 95 today. And if you haven't watched the service from the weekend, go back and watch it and take a look at what God is calling us to in this psalm. Even if you've never read a psalm before, read Psalm 95, watch the service, because this is one of those psalms that's got this great balance to it that we need in our lives. And so right now I want to read Psalm 95 one more time. I'm going to read it in the NIV version. And then I want to talk about just a couple observations, things that I've felt really called out by, and maybe you need in your life too. So here we go. Come, let us sing for joy to the Lord. Let us shout aloud to the rock of our salvation. Come, let us come before him with thanksgiving and extol him with music and song. For the Lord is the great God, the great King above all gods. In his hand are the depths of the earth, and the mountain peaks belong to him. The sea is his, for he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. Come, let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, the flock under his care. Today, if only you would hear his voice. Do not harden your hearts as you did at Meribah, as you did that day in Massa in the wilderness, where your ancestors tested me. They tried me. Though they had seen what I did, for 40 years I was angry with that generation. I said, they are a people whose hearts go astray, and they have not known my ways. So I declared on oath in my anger that they shall never enter my rest. Okay, so this psalm to me has these two big movements to it. The first section, it's verses 1 through most of verse 7, is this call to worship. We know worship is essential in our lives. It is essential for us to bring our attention and our affection to the maker of everything, the one who owns the mountains, whose hands are in the depths of the earth, the one who made us and knows everything about us. We are called to worship with joy and music and thanksgiving, to do it together in 1,000 different ways, like we do here in these devotionals, like we do in our services, like we will in person soon, to worship our God. Attention, affection towards the one who made everything. That's one side of it that we are called to do. Gratitude and love towards God. But then I look at that last section of this psalm, and this is where it really turns and kind of gives me a gut punch. Starts in the end of verse 7 into verse 8. Today, if only you would hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as you did at Meribah, as you did that day in Massa in the wilderness. We cannot harden our hearts. We have worship. We also have obedience. I need to obey this shepherd, this one that I say is leading me. I need to obey God. And what God commands me to do is to let my heart stay soft, even when I'm angry, even when I'm frustrated, even when everyone around me is driving me crazy. I do not get to harden my heart. I do not get to quarrel or test. That's what those two names of those places mean, Meribah and Massa. I don't get to quarrel. I don't get to fight about it. I don't get to test God. I don't get to say, no, this is not how I'm going to do it. I am called to obey. And he's very clear that we need to not harden our hearts. It makes me think about Jesus when Jesus was saying goodbye to his friends and his disciples. And he says, listen, guys, I've got one major command for you. One. Obviously, yes, love God. That's important. This is important. Do it. But when he says, follow my command, he follows it up with, love each other, love one another. My command is this, love one another. And so I combine this idea of a hard heart and how that stops me from loving the people in my life. I harden my heart because I'm frustrated, because I'm mad, because I'm scared, and I'm no longer obeying God. And so I've been convicted that I want to start writing down each person that makes me angry, each situation that makes me angry, everything that I want to have a hard heart against, that I want to push against, that I can feel that wall between me and them, that I can feel that judgment between me and them. I'm going to make a list, not so I can have a list of things I'm mad about, but so that I can have a list of people and situations I need to know more about. Because I think the key to a softer heart is understanding, empathy, knowledge. It reminds me back on that weekend a couple weeks ago where we talked about Psalm 139 and how God knows us and he loves us. And it makes me think that on the other side of what we think is knowing each other is a real knowing, and in that real knowing is where love is. God really knows us and he loves us. Because when you really know someone, you understand them. And so I want to work on understanding other perspectives. I want to work on understanding where people are coming from, why situations are the way they are. And I want my heart to stay soft towards them. I know I have found myself spending more time on the worship side, where I've been thanking God for who he is, thanking God for his grace and forgiveness and love. But I've been so busy doing that I haven't given enough grace and forgiveness and love to the people around me, to the situations around me. I'm too busy thanking God and letting that be the only work I do instead of actually doing the work with the people I'm around. So that's what I've been called out on. That is my observation, that there is both worship and an obedience to love that I am called to. And I want to try to live out. And I'm going to start right now. So I hope that for you, that calls you to something more as well. I hope that in this whole series of We Are the Free, you have found new steps towards freedom. This is one for me. I know that if I can get where I have more understanding, that will give me more freedom to love, more freedom to obey. I hope that you get more freedom in your life too, and that we do come together every day to bring our attention and our affection to God, and that we also, through our talking to each other, through our study, through our time, that we would also obey and love each other even better than we ever did before. Thanks you guys so much, and I will see you soon.